hands. Are we the baddies?
I've no wish to keep it real because keeping it real is such a bore. If keeping it real makes me sound like you, then what would I want to keep it real for?
Why are you still on Twitter, Grim? They ask me. You know it's bad for your mental health. To which I say, shut up, talking badger, you're not real. And the other reason that I'm on Twitter is that I find the constant stimulation useful, and it also throws up kinds of topics, which if you've got to do a video a day for your YouTube channel to keep it alive, is a good thing to have a source of ideas. And one of the conversations that came up this morning, really, possibly last night, was playing baddies in games. Part of this comes from extra credits, but some of it also comes from people in the role-playing community saying that they hate it as a question. You know, can you play the baddies in my game? Well, the answer is always yes. You can do whatever you want with a role-playing game. Once it's out the door, the publisher, the writer, the creator, their control is basically done, and you can do whatever you want. That seems pretty obvious. But I think they missed the point, kind of, because aren't you always playing the baddies? Morality is pretty relative, all things considered. Doubly so in fantasy games or science fiction games, when you might be dealing with non-human species with entirely different moral bases for their actions. But you're always somebody's baddie, right? When you kick down the door to a dungeon and you march through it slaughtering everything, when you break into the brood chamber and slaughter all those baby goblins, because in this game world they are going to grow up to be evil no matter what, because metaphysical evil is a real thing. You know, you're the good guys, but you're also the bad guys to the goblins. You're the story they tell their children. You know, if you don't eat your human, the paladins will come and kill you. Yeah, that kind of thing. So there's always that aspect to it. You're always playing the baddies, and you're always playing the goodies to an extent. But this idea that you shouldn't play the baddies, that somehow playing the baddies will rub off on you, is bullshit. It's the same bullshit that we've had to put up with since time immemorial, with the idea that games will somehow infect us and warp our fragile little minds and turn us into evil Satanists or alt-rights or whatever the case might be. It's just not true. Games just are not that powerful. They can pander to tendencies that you already have. They can introduce you to new ideas, but it's up to you to accept or reject or whatever these ideas as they're presented to you. And that's the be-all and end to it. But I still think a big point is being missed here. It can be a lot of fun to play the bad guy, to root for the bad guy. Villains are often quite popular, usually anti-heroes or people who are questionable, rather than necessarily outright villains. But Darth Vader is incredibly popular and only turns at the end. Loki is incredibly popular and he's never entirely on anybody's side except Loki's, right? There's numerous other examples, and it can be fun to play the bad guys. And by role-playing, we can gain an insight into the belief systems of others. Yeah, if you play a cell of terrorists and you think about things from their point of view, you might want to understand where they're coming from better by placing yourself in their shoes. You know, if you want to take a serious educational approach to the whole thing. And to understand a thing is not to promote or to condone or to accept a thing. Yeah, if you play a murderer, it doesn't mean you're going to go and murder anyone. If you play a terrorist, it doesn't mean you're going to go and blow yourself up. If you play whatever, it doesn't mean you're going to commit that crime. That's just ludicrous thinking, the kind of thinking that we've been fighting against since the mid-70s, and which the psychology studies just don't support. But it can be fascinating to play a villain, to play someone with a different moral code, a different set of ethics, or in a world that has a different set of ideas underpinning everything, where God is real, you know, and there is an eternal damnation awaiting your characters if they don't conform to what the church tells them to do, you know, and that can lead people to do horrible, horrible things. kill them all. God will know his own. It's fascinating, it's interesting, it's enjoyable to play the bad guy, to do evil sometimes for the sake of doing evil, because we're talking about monsters sometimes and fairy tales and so on. And when you do take it seriously, it can give you insight. It can also give you insight as a games master, who you're always playing the villain without it rubbing off on you. It can also give you insight, if you adopt the player's point of view as a villain, into how to play your villains and baddies and enemies and whatever else. You could have a really good campaign based on the books of Sven Hassel or Cross of Iron, where you're ostensibly playing the bad guys. The fact of the matter when it comes to historical real evil is that it's banal, it's mundane, it's people keeping their heads down and doing their jobs while awful things go on around them. If you're playing, a jobbing soldier during World War II, a good campaign might introduce other elements, other knowledge, other propaganda and ideals and the horrors that occurred in Nazi Germany slowly to your Wehrmacht characters, forcing them to make progressively more and more difficult moral decisions as time goes on. And even if you're not playing historically, you can do that. Why not play as jobbing stormtroopers in the New Hope era Star Wars? We signed up because we needed to get out of this impoverished hellhole of a planet we were living on. We get 3 square meals, get a place to sleep, and we get to shoot terrorists. What's so awful about that? And then you can learn as you go on. Or playing criminals. We often play criminals in cyberpunk games or modern games, whatever. Those are the bad guys. But that's where the interest is. Conflict. Moral decisions, ethics. What's the result if I do X, if I do Y? And sometimes it's just fun to play the baddies, and just play them as baddies, without being any more complicated or insightful than that. So don't deny yourself that opportunity. If you want to play bad guys, and ignore the naysayers, because they're the real bad guys in all this. Do what thou wilt. Zang.
Aren't you a little tired of so-called horror media about shiny, sparkly, angsty, whiny monsters? I know I am, and that's why I created Actual Fucking Monsters, where you will play an actual fucking monster doing horrible and monstrous things and being tracked down and killed for it. Buy now at DriveThruRPG, post-mort.com or lulu.com.